back when I was in the 2nd grade. My parents took me on a cruise ship in the Caribbean Sea. Surprisingly, we did not meet any pirates. On the cruise ship, I made several happy memories. One of those that were particularly memorable was a very high water slide. On that day, I was relaxing in the pool when I heard this loud screaming sound. I looked towards the screaming and I saw this great, big, yellow monstrosity of a slide that ended in a seemingly bottomless deep end of the pool I was in. My parents saw that I showed some interest in the slide, and they urged for me to go try it out. That's when I wanted to chicken out. As a 2nd grader, the slide seemed like a big yellow anaconda that would eat me up and then spit me out to drown. But as more and more people began joining the line for the slide, my curiosity began to take over. I reasoned that if there were so many people that were okay, how could the slide be a snake? I joined the line for the slide. When I rode down, I had my eyes shut for half of the ride. For the other half though, I realized that the ride was actually quite great, since it gave me the sensation of flying. I was also able to have a really clear view of the sky and the surrounding ocean. I would end up spending hours on that slide. You see, the slide was something that was very new to me. Many people at that maturity level in my situation would have just decided to chicken out and call it a day and head back to their hotel room on the cruise ship. But I decided to try something new, and it brought me great rewards. When in doubt, we should try something new. It can sometimes lead to really great results that we were previously not able to anticipate. When I first saw the slide, I was really scared of it, but then I realized that it was really good. Next, we have another story, and this one happening under extremely conditions. Back in November of 2020, I was participating in a competition called the World Scholars Cup. I had a very high potential in winning the competition because I was very talented in the areas that it tested us on. I remember going to the meeting room for our school's club for that particular competition at that time. Because that meeting was really important, as we were supposed to have our 3-member team ready, which I had already negotiated and made clear. I was able to go there 5 minutes earlier. But when I got there, I noticed that something had to be terribly wrong. My 2 teammates were sitting next to a person that I really didn't know. I was quite stunned. I asked one of my teammates what happened, and they told me the inconvenient truth that I was kicked from the team. I felt devastated when that happened, but I also did not want to give up because I had put so much effort into preparing for the competition. I also knew that if I did not have a 3-member team ready, I was done for. I began my search by frantically walking to the 3rd floor, to the locker rooms, and I saw nobody was suitable for this. Then I went to the lobby and also found nobody that I knew. Little did I know at that time, my perfect match was waiting in the classroom. When I got back up to the classroom, I saw 2 people standing there. They were talking about how they only had a 2-member team. I immediately walked up to them and said, "Could I join your team?" They agreed, and I was very happy at that moment. They may have not been a perfect fit because I have not practiced with them before, but they would do. I first began to continue prepping and tried to forget that I was with 2 new people that I barely knew. But I also realized I needed a brand new strategy if I wanted to win any team awards. So instead of ignoring the fact that my 2 teammates decided to ditch me, what I did was I decided to keep on thinking about it. I kept on thinking about the sadness, the regret, the anger that is with all of this. I decided to channel all of that into more fuel to help me study for the competition. And I also used teaching skills to accelerate my teammates' understanding of the topic. So what were the results of these types of new strategies? They worked perfectly. As a team, we were able to advance to the national rounds. And individually, I won over 20 medals and was also able to score the 2nd highest individually in the entire competition. So what can we learn from this? Sometimes we meet these outside-the-box situations, but what we can do, fortunately, is we can exploit them and utilize them to the best of our capability to make things even better. I'm also very proud to say that if it were not for the 2 people that actually decided to ditch me, I would have not been able to achieve this great results. An outside-the-box thinking process, an outside-the-box situation requires an outside-the-box thinking process. And an outside-the-box thinking process also leads to an outside-the-box action. And an outside-the-box action leads to an outside-the-box result. The hardest part in this outside-the-box sequence is the action itself. Many people are capable of thinking up great ideas, but what everybody has trouble in is initiating that action. So what we need to do is just keep our head down and continue going. We need to initiate the action. Once we initiate the action, though, it's all going to come through, it's all going to follow through and be easy. So that's what we need to do. Sometimes, though, even if we utilize these situations, the result may not be that materially rewarding. Back last year, I was participating in a debate competition when I heard a bad news. My partner had to chicken out at the last second because she was sick. Well, this was also very devastating to me. But I also really liked debating. So, what I wanted to do was to still participate in the competition. I asked the NSDA organizers as to what the rules were for these types of situations. They said that I was still allowed to compete 1 versus 2, but I was not allowed to win any prizes, individually or team-wise. I talked it over with my parents that night about was there anything that we could do. But we did not find any sort of results or any sort of action that we could take to make the situation better. Nevertheless, I decided to continue the grind and go on the next day. During the day of the competition, I did it with everything that I had. I was very happy at what I had achieved. Being both the first speaker and the second speaker, I was able to put my debating skills truly to the test. I was really able to enhance my skills in both of these areas. When I got home that night, I sent a WeChat moments of my experiences that day, and multiple people liked and commented about how they thought that my experience was really good, and they also praised my work ethic. I also received several team meet invitations for future competitions. We can see that sometimes these situations, even if we try our best, may not be that good. But what we can surely do is we can try to beat ourselves. Now let's go all the way back to the title of my speech, Making a Difference from a Difference. What does difference mean? The difference in my speech comes from a famous book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, an FBI negotiator. It tells us how to negotiate and also ourselves out or in of any situation. It is personally one of my favorite books. I would really recommend it to all of you. In the book, Chris Voss describes difference as the material or emotional gain that we want from a certain situation, the thing or object that we really want at the end of the negotiating deal. In my speech, difference has a very similar meaning. In the second difference, making a difference from a difference, it means the new jeopardized situation. And the first difference means the new metaphorical assets that we could gain if we successfully utilize it. To me, there are 4 stages of difference. The first one is called giving up difference. This is when you decide that you have no chance at winning or no chance of gaining anything once you meet the new situation. I have made this ever a few times though. The next one is called refusing difference. This means that you are committing a lose-lose action. And this is the worst out of the 4. This is when you think, for example, in a competition, that you have no more material gain that you can have, but you also try to make sure that others do not have this. I thought about this a few times, but I have never put it into action. The third one is called splitting difference. This one is slightly better than the other 2, but you still compromise what you can gain from the situation. When you meet the new jeopardized version of it, you did not get what you originally anticipated, but there is still a gain. The last one is by far the best. It is called creating difference. This is when you utilize the new situation that you have previously not anticipated. And you try to make even more of what you want. You try to utilize the situation and to gain even more than what you are previously capable of. This is what we want to do in the end, and this is what I did in those two competition examples. So what are you waiting for? Go out there and show them what you've got. Thank you.